Can I pilot Katsu for the first time in WTR Sealed with a winning record? Let's. What's that? No? I'm being told no. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Nearly Sane Games. I'm Neil, and this is the Armory Report. This week's Armory event was WTR Sealed, and I decided that I would try out Katsu. Never played Katsu before, but it seemed my pool probably could have gone Reinar, and I've done that a little bit too much. So Katsu was the plan this week. So let's take a look and see what I put together. All right, let's take a look at the deck that I have. First out, let's start off with Katsu. In Sealed, unless you're a very good Katsu player, I don't think you're going to use his ability very much. It allows you to discard a card and go get a combo card after an attack has hit. It's hard to remember which combos you have in your deck. I'm sure a better Katsu player would know, but I never used his ability. But I don't think that matters quite so much. For equipment, I had a very good selection. Snapdragon scalers, allowing something to have go again, something cost 1 or less have go again. Excellent. Heart and cross strap allows us to break this and pay 2 less for an action. This is very good for our last hit that we want to do. And then Goliath Gauntlet allows to have something that costs 2 or greater, and there's a few things that we use here that cost 2 or greater. Give that +2. Very good for us. Very nice to get that last big hit coming through. Now we have a few combo lines here. We've got head jab into open the center. I'm not so worried about combo lines in Sealed. They're difficult to get. What we're looking for is a lot of good attacks. And we'd like to have about 15 good attacks. So we've got head jab, open the center. We've got surging strike, whelming gust wave. We've got leg tap, rising knee thrust, blackout kick. That is probably not going to ever happen for us. And then we're looking at our generics. And I like to have the 0 cost generics. They can also be used for getting a 0 in the pitch zone for Kodachis. Snatch is excellent threatening draw card, especially the red one because it's at the breakpoint of 4. Scar for Scar. A lot of times we'll have less life, and this will have go again, and anything that has go again will be pretty good for us. That also goes for Scour the Battlescape. It's only a 3, but if we play it from our arsenal, we get to sink a card if we want to. It's the same text as Sink Below, and has go again if played from arsenal, so that's really good. Flock of the Featherwalkers itself does not have go again, but one of the things we can do is we can Snapdragon this and give it go again, and if we reveal a card with cost 1 or less, which we will likely have, we can get a Quicken token, and we can really abuse that Quicken token. And I'll show a line that I was able to play that worked really well with that. Razor Reflex. Now, the yellow Razor Reflex is good. That gives us +2. The blue Razor Reflex is much less good, giving us +1. And the reason it is much less good is because when you get down to the end game state, you're looking to kill your opponent, potentially with a Kodachi. And the problem is that the blue Razor Reflex does not give us anything that's going to push us past any kind of breaking point. They're going to have to block with something, and it's probably going to be a card from hand because their equipment's probably gone. So everything's going to block for at least 2. And Kodachi is not going to be able to threaten lethal just pumping it by 1. There was one game that I had the blue Razor sitting in my arsenal for much of the end game, and there wasn't any point in playing it because all the blocks came over for 2. I needed to get a 3 power attack, and that's very difficult to get and hold that in your hand if you're not putting on good pressure. So that didn't work quite as well for me. The yellow did give me a win for one of my games, being able to come over for 2 on a block for 2 with a Kodachi. Then that pumps it up to 3, and that's good for the kill. Wounded Bull. This is a bit of an expensive card, being a cost 3. But the big thing about this is that it's a high power attack. And what you really would like is a few of these in your deck so that you can Kodachi, and then send over a power attack, especially during the late game, because they need to block those Kodachis, and Barraging Brawnhide is probably one of the best cards that you can have, but a red Wounded Bull is also good. You want the red, you want to have the big power attacks to come over in addition to your Kodachis. We have a few defensive reactions. Sink Below Red and Yellow are excellent. Unmovable Red, also excellent. I did have a second Unmovable Yellow in here, but that's really too much. You want to have maybe one Unmovable. They're expensive, they're awkward. If you get 2 in your hand, they're awful. And this is probably more in line with what I needed in my deck. And then we have our blue 0-cost cards. These should not be considered as attacks. These are generally just, you want to have anything that's 0-cost blue. You can even use some 0-cost yellows if you don't have a good amount of blues to fill out your deck to be able to turn on those Kodachis and be able to really make those work. And then to fill out your blues, it's okay to have some cards that still cost something, especially if they block for 3. If you end up throwing it down for a block, that's fine. But having a good amount of blue pitch is what you want to do. And I'll tell you one of the lines that I had that was really effective. I had a blue card and a yellow head jab. And this was a cool line. So I pitched a blue, played Flock of the Featherwalkers, revealed a head jab for 0 that has 0 cost. So I made a Quicken token. And then I was able to use my Snapdragon Scalers, give Flock Go Again, play a Snatch on the Quicken token, so that had Go Again. I was able to draw a card off of that. Happened to draw a Wounded Bull. That was, or did I? Snatch came from Arsenal. I think I had another card available, because then I was able to head jab and pop my gauntlet, and no, that was right, because I paid 1 for my Flock of Featherwalkers, and I had 2 remaining, so I was able to pop my gauntlet and pop my Heart and Cross Strap, and able to play Wounded Bull coming over for 10, because I did have less life. So that was a pretty crazy attack. That's 21 damage coming over for that attack in sealed. And that's a pretty great combo line to have available. And it shows you the kind of power that you can have with Ninja. And having this extra card with Go Again in there really kind of let everything flow together real nice. All right. So that's the deck. And let's move on to my record. Let's see how I did. Now, the first round was against a Bravo, and I believe this was his first time playing Bravo as well, so we're both a little bit clumsy. He went first. He missed a dominate on his first attack, which he probably could have done. I think he realized that shortly after he made the attack. And he attacked for 6. I blocked for 5. This allowed me to turn on Scar for Scar. I want to make sure I had that available to me. I did Kodachi, a head jab, open the center. Did some light blocks. I took 6 for the next round. Then I went into Kodachi, Snatch with the Snapdragon Scalers, Goliath Gauntlet, Heart and Cross Strap into open the center. And open the center does not have go again unless you have the combo, which I did not. So I was ready to follow that up with the next card, and I couldn't. So read the card, and that's where I got with that. So Arsenal for me in pass. We got down to 7 and 7, so it was time for me to start the Kodachi train, and going back and forth, a lot of Kodachis to whittle down his life, and I would start to block what he would send over. And we got down to 1 and 1, and I was able to Kodachi with a yellow razor when he blocked 2 and come over for the kill. My round 2 was against Katsu. So we were going back and forth a little bit. He sent over a Kodachi, and no, he sent over a 3 power attack that I blocked for 3, and he double razored it. But I had it unmovable in Arsenal, so I dropped that, blocked that. He wasn't real happy about that. I tried to keep my life total above his, and I was hoping that I could just bleed him out in the end game. At one point, he was at 2, I was still at 8, and I thought, I got a good life total. I should be able to hopefully close this out. And he quickly whittled me down. We ended up being at 1 and 1. And it became a Kodachi match. Every turn it's going to be swing 2 Kodachis and try to get something else out. I was on the blocking plan, which is not where you want to be. So while I could Kodachi back, I didn't have that 3rd attack card that he had because I was on the blocking end of things. In the end, I completely fatigued out. He Kodachi'd. I had a blue sigil, so I healed for 1, and I had absolutely no cards left. So he won that match with... He was almost fatigued too, but he still had a card or 2 left, so he was able to swing the Kodachi and kill me. My round 3 was against somebody who is very skilled at using Katsu and plays Katsu and sealed a lot. I don't think I really had a chance against him. He beat me down pretty handily. At the time that I died, he still had 7 life. I was at 1 life. But afterwards, after he totally destroyed me, we talked about my deck a little bit. He helped me make some adjustments. Having that big attack at the end of your combo line in sealed is very important. Even if you can Kodachi, and then Wounded Bull or Barraging Brawnhide, you should have enough blues in your deck to really support that kind of attack, and it really creates a big problem for your opponent. And you can do it on a very few amount of cards. So we talked about that a little bit. I took out one of my unmovables, my yellow unmovable, and I think that helped me a bit in my final round. A bit. My 4th round was against Dory, and I don't like Dorinthia is kind of a little bit tricky to play against anyway if you have a good blocking character, and Ninja is not a good blocking character. They have a lot of 2 blocks, and Dory could end up coming in for a lot of damage, and that becomes a very difficult proposition. You don't want to block from hand, so you end up taking a lot of hits. And I did take a lot of hits. I did manage. There was one point where he was threatening to get a counter on Dawnblade, and I just blocked that out. I didn't want to have to deal with a counter on Dawnblade. That would be, you really don't want to let Dawnblade kind of snowball. And so I think I dropped my hand in order to block that out and make sure that he didn't get the counter for that. But that puts me on the back foot a little bit. I took some big hits early on, and I ended up only kind of poking back a little bit and getting some damage. But remember, with Dory, you really want to pull cards out of her hand. And the more cards you can pull out of her hand, the harder it is for her to swing back. And Dory really needs a lot of cards to do that. So if you can get 2 cards out of Dory's hand, you've really reduced the power a lot. But early game, Dory was at 18, I was at 9. But I had a really good combo line that I talked about in the deck tech, and that really pushed through a lot of damage. Having that 10 power attack at the end of the line was really good. I got him down to 1. I was at 2 life, but I swung a Kodachi, and he did a Steel Blade Shunt on me, got me down to 1. So now we're 1-1. I figure I have it at this point, and I really worked to make sure that I had the right cards in hand to get a decent combo line off, and I tried to use that, but my combo line also included the Kodachis, and he happened to have another Steel Blade Shunt, which is a little bit unusual in sealed because I believe those are rares. Yeah, but that's what it is. He was at 1. We were both at 1. I swung a Kodachi and Steel Blade shunted it. So looking back at that, I probably could have reorganized the attacks that I had. I was hoping to have a big attack at the end after he had blocked the Kodachis, which he would have to block anyway. And I think that card had go again, so I should have probably played that first, tried to draw out anything like a Steel Blade Shunt, and if he had to use that, then he would be in a poor position to block anything else. So the Kodachis could have gotten through. But it's not much you can do. If they draw Steel Blade Shunt twice in a row, that's going to kill you. You need to rely on your Kodachis at some point, and that's how that rolled out. So, pretty poor record, 1-3. But it was an interesting experience. I really got to see kind of how Katsu's power can just be explosive. Can have really go wide turns, and if you get the right hand, it can really present a lot of damage. That makes it very hard. That makes Ninja very deadly, and I'll probably try to play him again. Play another Ninja again in the future. I want to get more experience with him, and be able to better figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I think I need more practice playing Ninja so that you can see where Ninja starts to fall apart. If you've got a game plan and you have experience with trying to execute on that game plan, you can start to see where that game plan falls apart and where you don't want what you don't want to happen, and that will help you play against that and start to try to pick apart that strategy. And that is my ultimate goal, is to better understand Ninja so I can understand how to stop it. But that was the Armory event for this week. Next week we go back to Classic Constructed. I'm working on putting together Classic Constructed Wizard, and I expect I'm probably going to lose next week, but I really want to learn how that deck functions and see what it can do. I believe it won the Italian Nationals against a full power Briar, and that is very interesting. And if it can beat a full power Briar, I believe it has more strength in the meta than a lot of people are giving it credit for. So I like underdog decks. I like to figure out how to play different decks. And I think that Kano is probably one of the most difficult decks to pilot. You really need to know your lines. And I want to figure out how all that works. And so we'll be taking a look at that, and we'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Neil, and this has been the Armory Report.